This feels like the most efficient way to be patriotic. Hi, welcome, come on in. My name is Aoife and today I am taking the Reading Your Country book tag. It felt like this was the perfect way to kind of bring in a little bit more Irish content into what has already become a pretty Irish heavy content month. The first question is, what country are you going to talk about? And quite obviously, the country is Ireland. I grew up there, I lived there until I was about 25. Then when I was 25, I moved over to Germany and have lived there since. But I don't feel like I know enough about Germany, German literature, German authors to be able to talk about it enough. Question 2 is, what is your favourite childhood book from your country? And if you don't have one, name some children's books. My absolute favourite is Under the Hawthorn Tree by Marita Conlon McKenna. This is the first in the Children of the Famine series, and it follows 3 children, Eilidh, Peggy and Michael, whose parents have passed away or gone to work during the famine of 1845 to 1849. During this time in Ireland's history, the population, which had been 8 million before the start of the famine, plummeted to about 3.5 million, and it's never really recovered from then. It's never really hit that height since. The book is a great way to teach children about that time of Irish history. It gives them a kind of a personification of the famine, especially when they are around the same ages as the 3 children. It gives them the kind of idea of, this is what somebody who was actually my age went through. The first book follows the 3 children as their parents have either passed away or gone to workhouses during the famine. So they decide to pack up and head to 2 aunts of their mothers that they knew about who lived right across the country. There's a lot of kind of harrowing scenes throughout this book, and it is one that you should kind of go into with a little bit of an iron stomach. But as I said, it's also a really great way to teach children about the famine without introducing them to an actual history book. Question 3, what's a book from your country that you read for school, either primary or secondary? When I did my Leaving Cert, which is our end of school exams in Ireland, we studied Dancing at Lunasa by Brian Friel. This play follows the 5 Mundy sisters, one of their sons, and also their brother who has come back from Africa having worked as a missionary there for about 20 years. The play is a really great insight into poverty in Ireland and how the roles of women have been viewed in Ireland back in the 1930s. I really enjoyed reading it, and I would love to go and see it actually performed in front of me, but I haven't heard of anywhere that's actually showing Dancing at Lunasa lately. It was also turned into a film which starred Meryl Streep and Rhys Ifans, but I would say the film is not as good as the play. It kind of jumbles around a bit of the storyline, it kind of takes liberties with the characters, and I don't know if I would watch the film again. Question 4 is, what is a book set in your favourite area of the country? And despite having grown up in Waterford, Galway is one of my favourite places, not just in Ireland, but across the whole world. I absolutely love the art scene in the city. It's one of Ireland's most artsy places, and there are so many wonderful places around Galway, especially Charlie Byrne's bookshop, which you absolutely have to visit if you're ever in Galway city. It's about a 10-minute walk from Eyre Square, which is right in the centre of the city, and I promise you, it's worth a go. I thought I hadn't read a book that was set in Galway, but I looked back over everything that I've read across my entire life, and it turns out, yes, I have. I thought that Kinvara, the village in The New Policeman by Cape Thompson, was a fictional village, but it turns out it's actually a village in County Galway. This book follows JJ, whose mother is complaining that she never has enough time to do anything that she ever wants to do. She is just being pulled 15 ways from Sunday, and all she wants is more time. So JJ kind of falls into this kind of portal to another world where time is of the essence, and you can have as much or as little time as you want to do anything. Those who are familiar with Irish mythology will already know this land as Tír na nÓg, and the whole book follows JJ's adventures in Tír na nÓg and how he's breaching the gap between the 2 worlds. Question 5, what's a historical fiction book set in your country? So I've already mentioned the Under the Hawthorn Tree book, and that is a historical fiction for children, but maybe you're looking for something that's geared a little bit more towards adult readers. If you are, I would first recommend that you check out The Wonder by Emma Donohue. This is again set in the 1800s, and it follows Anna, who is an 11-year-old girl who has not taken anything to eat in about 3 months. And this is seen as a miracle because Anna is still surviving. So they bring in a nurse called Liddy who's going to figure out how Anna is still staying alive even though she hasn't eaten anything for 3 months. Another historical fiction book of Emma Donohue's that is absolutely phenomenal and you should definitely check out is The Pull of the Stars. But I will warn you, this is a book set around a pandemic. It's set around the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918. So if you are still feeling a little bit corona wary, maybe give this one a couple of years before you pick it up. It is also set in a maternity hospital in Dublin, and as you can imagine, quite a lot of the mothers who are in here are also suffering from flu symptoms, so would also recommend that you take an eye on that before you go into it. If, however, you can jump over those 2 hurdles, it's a really phenomenal book. To go outside of that, another historical fiction that is somewhat set in Ireland, somewhat set in the US, but written by an Irish author is Brooklyn by Colin Tobin. This was turned into a film a couple of years ago starring Saoirse Ronan, and it is the story of Ailish, who grew up in County Wexford and moves over to New York to kind of make a better life for herself and send money back home to her family. This is something that would have been quite common in the 1950s or so, that people would have gone off to America to make a better life for themselves. And it also shows what life was like for the family that Ailish had left behind and how they were building their lives up again. As I had read this book for the first time, I had also just emigrated out of Ireland, so having that kind of connection to this book was something that really dragged me into the story. Question 6, what is a classic book from your country? I could be here for days. There are so many classic books that came from Ireland that you might not even know were written by Irish authors. You have got The Dubliners by James Joyce, you've got Finnegan's Wake by James Joyce, Ulysses, also by James Joyce, Dracula by Bram Stoker, The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, Waiting for Godot by Samuel Beckett, Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift. There are so many classical books that you might not know came from an Irish author. Question 7, what's a book from your country that you haven't read but that you would really like to read? I think I've tried to pick up Angela's Ashes about 4 times now, and I don't know what the hurdle is. I just cannot get myself to read the story. I grew up quite near Limerick, which is where the book is set. A couple of my family members went to or are going to college in Limerick, so there is a quite personal connection to the city, but I don't know what it is that is not making me go and pick this book up. I also have not seen the film, and I don't really want to see films before I've read books, so I also don't think I'm going to see the film anytime soon. I just really need to start picking up Angela's Ashes. Question 8, who are some of your favourite authors, or what are some of your favourite books from your country? So, we will do this in rapid fire. The Oh My God, What a Complete Aisling series by Sarah Breen and Emer McLysett. Asking for It by Louise O'Neill. Rachel's Holiday by Marion Keyes. Again Rachel by Marion Keyes. The Call by Pader O'Gillen. Always the Bridesmaid by Sarah Webb. P.S. I Love You by Cecilia Ahern. Did You Hear Mammy Died by Seamus O'Reilly. Circle of Friends by Maeve Binchy. There are literally so many. Again, I could be here for days just listing them all out. Those are my answers to the Reading Your Country book tag. If you're still here and you don't know what comment to leave, just leave me the book sack emoji. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I have new videos up every week. Now, get on out of here.